Good evening and welcome to the latest installment of the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. We hope everyone is watching on the Richmond Observer app, the Richmond Observer YouTube page, and the Richmond Observer website. And those listening to The Classic Rock had a wonderful Valentine's Day yesterday. I'm, of course, joined by my regulars here, Russell Parker on my right, Jeremy McKenzie on his right. You may notice that Lance is missing with us this evening, but he actually hopped in his DeLorean this afternoon, head back to the 80s, getting ready for the Richmond County Chamber of Commerce's annual celebration tonight at the Cole Auditorium. And Lance said to me, "Do you guys still want to go ahead with the show this evening?" And I said, "Lance, we got this. So we miss you, but we're going to move on without you."
Well, that's a good riddance. I'm just kidding.
He said that, not me. But first off, guys, I want to jump right into the NBA. As we saw last week with the trade deadline, the Cleveland Cavaliers made a lot of moves, pretty much reshuffled their entire roster. So I want to get your guys' take on not only the moves that they made, but also how well they played since they made them.
Well, it's going back to what we said. The trade that Cleveland was one of the teams was very surprised on the trade deadline, reshuffled their roster, sent Dwayne Wade back to Miami, which I believe truly that it was a move was well deserved, and he can retire as a Miami Heat. And they got younger at the front and the back court in that regard. And during the past few games, they looking at it now is Cleveland's been dominant.
They have been dominant.
They've been dominant, and LeBron making everybody around him a lot better the way they are. So there's been some surprises during that few games. But like I say, if they continue to do what they do, we could see Cleveland back in the NBA Finals.
Russell, what's your take on it?
Well, they certainly didn't see a problem with LeBron James, and they changed up the rest of the roster. I mean, LeBron's doing better too. He averaged in the last game 37 points over his overall right now is about 26 and a half. So he's doing pretty good too.
Yeah, there's no doubt that every year LeBron James is an MVP candidate, always makes everybody that he plays with better. But still, as of right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are still in third place behind Toronto and Boston. Right now, they're 34 and 22, which is a good record.
Yes.
But like I said, still behind two teams. Do you guys see them still making it to the Eastern Conference Championship?
Well, it's like in sports. When you get to the playoffs, you just gotta take one game at a time and see how the rest pairs out. But you look at your competition with Toronto, it's a young team. Boston's been a young team. I truly believe that if Cleveland can continue to do what they do, be dominant as they've been doing since the trade deadline, we can actually see them back again. Could surely be the Warriors or the Rockets.
And I think with a lot of young guys on their team now, I think they're going to have a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. And with LeBron's talent, I think they got a good chance.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the Warriors. The Rockets are, of course, chasing them in the West, but the Warriors are the team that everyone is chasing overall. If the Cavs are able to get to the Eastern Conference Championship and then win it against whoever that may be, do you guys see them being able to beat the Warriors?
I believe we can.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's absolutely possible. I think it's going to be difficult. But I was going to ask you guys a question about this. Isaiah Thomas, who, of course, they picked up in the Kyrie Irving trade, turned around. I think he played 15 games or something like that. Turned around, dealt him to the Lakers this past week. The Lakers' future. What do you guys think about that? With Lonzo Ball there, kind of a young team. Do you think that's a team that in a few years will be compete?
Well, the Lakers, they win a tradition, and also been a Western Conference powerhouse over the course of time. We're looking at Isaiah Thomas. Pretty much could probably go to a 6-man role, but at the same time, you got a lot of superstars will be out there coming in this summer. So we could look at guys like LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony. We could see Paul George, guys that can come together and probably can bring that Laker dominant like it once was, and also have some young guys surrounded the veterans. But we'll just wait and see what happens in June.
Yeah, and with these trades, the Lakers have actually been able to free up a lot of money to be able to go after two max deal superstars. Russell, do you think LeBron James or some of these big-time guys could end up in L.A.?
I mean, it's very well possible. I mean, LeBron, he might still want to be a Cavalier, but as we mentioned last week, he could just up and leave them and just have his jersey get burned again in Cleveland.
Yeah, you're right. We definitely talked about that last week. I myself said that if a guy wants to chase a championship, I have no problem with that. I'm sure fans in Cleveland wouldn't feel the same if he bolted for the West Coast. But sticking with the NBA All-Star Game is set to take place this Sunday. And, of course, with the NBA All-Star Game, you get all the festivities that come with it. Yes. The dunk contest, which, of course, everyone loves. The three-point contest, challenge contest, and then, of course, the celebrity game. So is there anything particular you guys are looking forward to as far as All-Star Weekend?
Well, I'm a big fan of NBA All-Star Weekend, and I always love on Saturday nights where you can just kick back, watch, eat your popcorn, drink some Kool-Aid a little bit, and I always get into the skill challenge and the dunk contest at the three-point shootout because you never know what's going to happen, especially the dunk contest, especially a lot of these guys come up with some of the craziest dunks ever seen, especially with like Blake Griffin and Dwight Howard one dance. Anybody can jump over a car, you get a 10 from me.
Yeah. And I remember Dwight Howard's too, where he dunked on, was it a 12 or 13-foot goal?
Yes, with a Superman cape on.
Yeah, absolutely. Russell?
Yeah, I have to agree with the dunk contest. Something I can't do and something I always wanted to do back in high school in the gym. I could never reach the goal, but seeing how they can do this crazy stuff like that is just awesome to look at.
Yeah, and they did the format a little bit different this year as far as the All-Star Game. They had two captains, which were the top two vote getters. Of course, that was LeBron and Steph Curry. But actually, Steph and LeBron were able to pick their teams. There was no East versus West. The teams are kind of split up. In my opinion, LeBron has the better of two teams. Steph kind of went more of a guard-heavy team. You guys want to make a prediction? I know these games end up close to 200 points and there's no defense, but you guys want to make a prediction as to who will win?
I'm going for Team LeBron.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can all agree on that. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more from the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics.
At Richmond Community College, we can prepare you for a high-skill, high-paying career in a variety of fields. From business to education, engineering, utilities, healthcare, criminal justice, information technology, and human services. At Richmond Community College, we can save you thousands of dollars on tuition through our university transfer programs that provide a seamless transition to universities and colleges throughout North Carolina. At Richmond Community College, we are always developing new courses and programs in response to the communities we serve. We offer day, evening, and online courses, and you can now complete 5 curriculum programs entirely online. At Richmond Community College, we believe in helping you prepare for a better life. Richmond Community College. Local college, big impact.
Exit Realty Platinum in Rockingham has listed one of the most beautiful homes in Richmond County. Located in Rockingham on Ledbetter Lake, the home features 4 bedrooms with bamboo floors and a kitchen featuring stainless steel appliances and granite countertops, and a master bedroom that overlooks Ledbetter Lake, along with a spacious tile shower and the attached master bathroom. The open living space leads to the back deck with a perfect view of Ledbetter Lake, and the property features its own boat dock. Want to see this beautiful home? Call Nicole Hayden with Exit Realty Platinum, your source for homes in Richmond and Moore counties.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. Rockingham is synonymous with racing, we all know that, and of course this Sunday, in addition to the All-Star Game, we've got the Daytona 500, and one of us is a bigger fan than the other. I think you can tell which one that is. So let's just get straight into it. This is the 60th Daytona 500, like I said, taking place Sunday at 2:30 in Florida. I guess getting right into it, Russell, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you expect to see on Sunday and who you expect to win.
Well, my first prediction is going to be Brad Keselowski or Joey Logano winning this thing, because they have been working so well together in the previous class race that we just recently had on Sunday. I also see them having a lot of success in practice, and I hope to see a lot of practice, a lot of good stuff out of them tonight in the duels. But at the 500, there's 40 vehicles in that race, and they're going to be racing at 200 miles per hour, bumper to bumpers, door to door. It's going to be intense. It's going to be very insane. I can't wait for it. But I do think we're going to see a lot of between Joe Gibbs Racing and Team Penske. Of course, Team Penske brought on Ryan Blaney this season. Joe Gibbs is trying to straighten up some new guys. They got Eric Jones, and they've got Daniel Suarez starting up. So we'll see how it goes with them two, but I think it's going to be because last year Logano winning it.
And Joe Gibbs is a name that's synonymous with me being a Redskins fan. I find it interesting that he's also in the racing world. And Jeremy, you and I are kind of the same. We don't follow racing nearly as much as Russell does, but I still want to get your take on what you expect to see this Sunday in Daytona.
Well, on Daytona 500, I love good racing.
Yeah.
I love good racing, and truly that hopefully whoever wins, who wins.
And I originally was doing some research on this, and I was looking on ESPN, and a friend of mine who actually covers racing for ESPN, Ryan McGee, had initially picked Kyle Busch, so I thought, well, I'll go with that. But then I was doing a little more research, and I think I'm going to go with Keselowski, simply because he's been so dominant in restrictor plate racing, not only the last years, but over his career. So I guess that's the guy that I'm going to take. But Russell, again, moving on after Daytona in the series for the rest of the season, what do you expect to see?
Well, I think I'm going to expect to see Chevrolet teams having a lot of trouble. Start off with, they actually got a new body style for their car. They upgraded to the Camaro now in the Cup Series. And the issue with their car that I've already seen so far from Sunday was that their car is not flat in the front of it. It's more pointed out, and that can cause wrecks at plate tracks because they're not able to get a flat, firm grip on the car behind them when they go to bump draft. So we might see a lot of wrecks this Sunday and future plate tracks with Chevrolet not having that issue. But I do see Toyota continuing their dominance. They have had a spectacular year, a couple of spectacular years, but last year they came back, and Martin Truex Jr., who won the championship last season, I expect to see the same dominance out of him and his team. So if I were to pick an early prediction to win the championship, it will be Martin Truex Jr.
So going back-to-back championships,
Yep.
That would be dominant. And now to transition into something a little bit different, and I'm going to start by saying that Dale Earnhardt Jr. we know has retired from racing, always a big name, that Earnhardt family, of course, is actually doing some corresponding work for the Olympics for NBC. So I thought we talked a little bit about the Olympics last week. They were just getting started. We're now pretty much a week in to the Olympics. Anything you guys have taken away so far? Anything you've enjoyed seeing from South Korea?
Well, I don't know much about South Korea part, but I know the U.S. is doing pretty good. They
They
got
are.
4 gold medals in snowboarding.
They do. And, one of the things that I've noticed this past week was Shaun White on Tuesday won a gold medal and is actually the 100th gold medal for the U.S. in Winter Olympics history, which was pretty neat. And then before him, Chloe Kim, another American, dominated in the half pipe, which is also snowboarding. So like you said, America's been doing great. Jeremy, anything that caught your eye?
Well, just the same with Shaun White winning with the gold medal. That was very, very, to me, was very, very shocking, very uplifting to make history in the process.
Yeah, and Shaun White's one of those guys. I think this is his 4th Olympics, which obviously is a long time. That's 16 years that he's been doing this. I think he won his first gold when he was about 19 years old. And one of the things that I found interesting was they were interviewing some of these snowboarders, and I was watching them and I said, man, these guys look like they're 12, 13, 14 years old, and come to find out they're not that much older. But either way, we're pulling for everyone over in South Korea from here in the U.S. And with all that being said, anything else you guys want to add from the Olympics?
Have you seen the curling happening lately?
Sierra and I were talking about that on Good Morning Sandhills the other day, and we were trying to figure out when it is. Come to find out, the U.S. team hasn't even played yet.
I know Canada's already got 1 gold medal in it.
They do. Canada's always dominant when it comes to curling. But curling's one of those things, I've said it before and I've tried to describe it, but it's a great sport. Like you only get to see it once every 4 years. I think that's why there's such intrigue with it. But, one of those things like ice skating and the luge and bobsledding that you just don't get to see all that often. Which actually brings me to one more question regarding the Olympics. All of us obviously are novices when it comes to the Olympics. We probably all get ourselves killed or break something. In your opinion, what is an Olympic sport that would be the most dangerous or most difficult for somebody like us?
I'm not sure what it's called, but the one where they're kind of in that tube thing they're going down it. I'm not. It's
The luge.
Yeah, that's it. I think that'd be the most dangerous one.
Jeremy?
The most dangerous, what I would say would be scary to me is shot put, javelin, all that other stuff, because I be afraid to, if I do something wrong, I'm going to get hurt.
And the one that always scares me is called the skeleton, where the guys are on that sled that's about this thin, it seems. It may be a little bit bigger, but not much. And it's kind of like the luge or the bobsled, where they're in the tunnel there and it's up and down. But there's literally nothing stopping you from breaking multiple bones when it comes to the skeleton. But yeah, like I said earlier, we're wishing nothing but luck to all the Americans over in South Korea in the Winter Olympics. And we'll be right back with more from the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics.
McNair Auto Sales is the place to buy your pre-owned car, truck, or van. To be the best, it takes big selection, friendly staff, and great pricing. We guarantee a no-hassle buying experience, and financing is available right on site. So come see us today. We're located at 1026 East Broad Avenue in Rockingham. And remember, with over 40 years of experience, you know McNair is the name you can trust.
Family Pharmacy is a local pharmacy that's been in business in Rockingham for over 10 years. Located in the Food Lion Shopping Center on US 1 North, we have easy access into the store and a drive-thru for your convenience as well. You can download the official Family Pharmacy app at myfamilypharmacy.com, and we'll help you set it up to text you when your prescription is ready, and you can even set it up to fill your prescriptions when due. Our motto is we'll treat you like family, and it's something we truly mean. We take the same care in filling your prescription that we would take for our own family. Family Pharmacy, we'll treat you like family.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. Now, guys, we got to get into this. We got to talk some college basketball, of course, being here on Tobacco Road. Of course, the Tar Heels coming off a few big wins over the last few days. Beat Duke, of course, this past Duke this past Thursday. Beat NC State this past Saturday,
Yes.
and then had another big win over Notre Dame on Monday. So I guess my first question is, how about them Tar Heels?
That's right, the defending, reigning national champions.
That is right. That is right. So yeah, we were talking about the Cavs earlier about how well they've been playing since the trade deadline. It kind of seems like the Tar Heels, obviously they didn't make any trades, but have kind of been playing with that same momentum. What's your take on that, Jeremy?
I believe since the few wins that Tar Heels has been playing against Duke, Notre Dame, and also with State, I think that those wins gave them some kind of momentum where they could say, hey, we're the national champions. We got to play like champions. And we got to keep that reputation that we do is playing basketball. So I think what the narrative is now is, if we're going to continue to be dominant, then we got to play our game.
And Russell?
Yeah, I mean, UNC is throwing Bill and Rolston to beat Duke, and I think when you beat a rival like that, it carries over into the next few more games, because if you beat your biggest enemy, you can beat all enemies. So
Yeah.
I think that helps them out a lot, and it probably will pick up even more as we get closer to the tournament.
And of course, during our first show, we made a prediction about who would win the Super Bowl. And then last week, we made a prediction about who would win between UNC and Duke. I myself and Lance are 1-1. Russell, unfortunately, buddy, you're 0-2 when it comes to picks. But Jeremy over here picked the Eagles and picked the Tar Heels. So he's now 2-0, looking like the guru over there. But since we're talking about college basketball, we can also talk about Alabama.
Yeah,
Russell. They're playing
finally,
really well.
roll tide.
Absolutely. Usually known as
The
a
national
football
champions.
school. Yeah, usually known as a football school, of course, but right now playing some great basketball as well.
I mean, they beat LSU this past Tuesday, or no, was it Tuesday? I think it was 80-65. I mean, they've just been on a roll since then. They beat Tennessee. It was actually number 2 right now in the SEC. I never expected to see Tennessee or Auburn number 1 and 2, but nevertheless, Alabama's getting it done when they're playing against big teams. However, they've been kind of struggling when against the lower teams. Like, they're playing on the level of that team that they're playing against. It's like they got to figure out how to overcome those losses. And that, if they can do that, they could be a serious threat coming into the SEC tournament and the March Madness tournament.
Absolutely, because in those tournaments you have no idea what's going to happen. On any given day, somebody could lose. And you brought up Auburn. It's kind of funny to see Auburn at the top of the SEC in basketball. Of course, also one of those schools more known for football. But we were talking during the break about the NCAA, much like in football with their top 4, is doing a top 16 preview, I guess you would call it, for college basketball now. That was released earlier this week. The ACC was very well represented in that. Virginia was a number 1 seed, actually number 1 seed overall as well. Clemson actually was a 3 seed. Duke was a 2 seed, and of course the Tar Heels a 3 seed getting in there as well. But Auburn was another team that was on there, along with Texas Tech. And of course I mentioned Clemson, some of these teams that usually you think more about football than you do basketball, but it's been a little upside down, I guess is one of the words to put it, as far as college basketball this season. But, as we know, Duke's going to be there, Carolina's going to be there, especially in the ACC. And, of course, you mentioned that Duke played last night, and we'll have to see how all that's going to shake out when it comes time for the ACC tournament. But I think you have to give Duke a chance when it comes to March Madness. You have to give Carolina a chance,
Yes.
and I think there's a good chance of NC State getting in there as well. So a shout out for all the state fans watching and listening.
I did notice that they're actually no longer receiving votes in the top 25.
NC State.
Yeah, they were receiving like 6 in the last poll. Now they have none.
Yeah, well,
That's a bummer.
that loss that they took on Saturday may have had a little bit to do with that. But again, they're still on Tobacco Road, North Carolina school, so we, of course, will be pulling for them. Some of us less than others. But now, moving on, I want to get into something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is Major League Baseball. I guess today, all the guys are heading down to Florida and Arizona, including our friend Scott Emerson with the Oakland Athletics. He, of course, is their pitching coach and helped us out with our inaugural RO Sports Show. I myself can talk all day about baseball, but I want to get you guys' take on spring training starting up, who your favorite team is if you have one, and what you kind of expect to see coming into the season.
Well, my favorite team is the Braves. I've been to a couple of their games. I think I went to their one. It was after their 2000th game. I went to that game and the game after that. So I enjoyed myself. That was back when Chipper Jones was playing. And I actually got a trivia for Chipper Jones. He's actually going to be in Daytona for the 500. He's actually going to be like an honorary crew member.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. That's neat. Nice little transition there.
Yeah.
Jeremy, how about yourself?
My favorite team is the New York Yankees.
Oh.
I'm a Yankees fan. You better believe it. Love it or hate it. The expectations usually be very high for the Yankees. We are a winning franchise so many years down the road, and we also always got top-notch superstars as far as trying from the left field also down to the pitching anyway. But my expectations very rare this year is to see if the Yankees got enough pieces in place to make a World Series run.
Well, the Yankees, like you said, they have such a big history when it comes to baseball. For the longest time, especially me as a Braves fan, I remember the days when we would say that they bought teams because they'd go out and buy all these big-time free agents. Brian Cashman, their GM, has kind of gotten away from that over the last few years and has tried to build up their farm system, which has introduced us to guys like Aaron Judge. But, of course, we know now that they have picked up Giancarlo Stanton, which is going to be huge for them. So I would expect the Yankees to, of course, be there. I'm also a Braves fan, of course. I've been pulling for them since the early 90s, back when they started their run of 15 playoff appearances in a row. Of course, we only got one World Series championship out of that. A lot of those times were to the Yankees, so that's a big reason why I don't like the Yankees. Spring training to me, it just means that warmer weather is coming. It's great to see the guys getting out there, start playing a little pepper, start getting out on the field, getting loose. And like we said, that just means that baseball is right around the corner. I don't know if you guys, I'm going to put you on the spot here for just a second. October, obviously, is a long ways away, but that's when the World Series is. Do you guys have an inclination on who you think will end up winning this year's World Series?
I'm going to go with the Astros again. Back to back. I think they're going to get it done. They had a good season last year. I think they can pull it off again.
Absolutely. Jeremy?
I'll go for even though I'm a Yankees fan all day long, but I think Houston Astros will be the World Series again because great stellar seasons in the past couple of years and roster's looking great.
Yeah.
Everybody's healthy, and they can make a good run for the World Series and win it all over again.
Yeah, and Houston, like you said, had a great season last year. Another one of those teams that kind of what the Braves have been doing the last few years, literally broke it down to the studs, traded away everybody that was worth anything, got a lot of prospects back, And now those guys are some of the top guys in the game, which allowed them to win the World Series last year. And Chicago Cubs the year before that did something very similar, allowed them to get guys like Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo at first base, something that I hope personally that the Braves will be able to do. I like the Astros as a pick, but I'm going to go something different with here, and I'm going to say the Dodgers. The Dodgers finally get a championship. They've been working on it here for the last 10 years with this enormous payroll. They're always up there in the top 2 or 3 payroll-wise. Clayton Kershaw will actually be able to opt out of his contract after this year. Do I see him leaving? Not necessarily. Do I see him making a lot of money? Absolutely. But the fact that he could leave, I think the Dodgers have a lot of talent. They have a lot of superstars that are already established, but they already have some young guys that are coming up, like Cody Bellinger at first base that can also contribute. So as much as I hate to pick the Dodgers, I have to go with my head instead of my heart and not pick the Braves. But I can see the Dodgers. I can also see the Astros getting there, but I'm going to go with a different take and say LA gets into the World Series and gets a championship in 2018. We're going to come back here in just a few minutes, guys. We're going to do a Love It or Hate It edition with Valentine's being yesterday. So we'll be right back with the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics.
Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts is all about rustic home decor and gifts. You will always find a variety of unique antiques, vintage, and new items in our shop. Come and see our selection of housewarming, new baby, and wedding gifts. For the man in your life, we have many collectibles, Boker knives, and leather. And ladies love the jewelry, purses, candles, hats, and t-shirts. We also offer a 30-day layaway program. Come and experience shopping at Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts.
With hospice, you guys just outdo yourselves every day. And I really appreciate it. I honest to God don't know what I would do if it weren't for you. The things that you do, I'm in approval of. And thank you. I don't know what else to say other than thank you.
Welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And as I mentioned before the break, guys, we're going to do a Valentine's Day edition of Love It or Hate It, with, of course, Valentine's Day being yesterday. So I want to get you guys a quick take on a few topics here. First off, we're going to talk about LeVar Ball. For those of you that don't know who LeVar Ball is, be glad. For those of you that do, he is the father of Lonzo Ball, who's a guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. Earlier this week, he came out and said that he expects Lonzo and his other 2 sons, who are playing over in Lithuania, to be on the Lakers before it's all said and done. So I want to get you guys' take. Love it or hate it?
It's kind of like go both ways. It's like it's like a father loves to see their sons play for the same team, and it would be great to see that. But the hating part about it is it won't happen because you gotta look at it. It's a business. It's a business aspect. You can't put 3 guys on the same team.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I hate it. I think it's very difficult to get all your. You gotta make sure they're all good enough to be on the same team together, especially on the Lakers, which is a pretty big team. It'd be very difficult to get them all on there. So I would say hate it.
And I myself, I am of the opinion that LeVar Ball is full of more hot air than the Hindenburg. And if he's not careful, he's going to crash his son's careers much the same way.
Yes.
So I myself, I don't like it. Look, like you guys said, there's no way that all 3 of his sons are going to end up on the Lakers. Even if they're all really good, with the logistics of it and payroll and all that, I just don't see that coming to fruition. Moving on, we're going to talk about Clemson football. They are on ESPN's way too early top 25 as number 1 in the country right now, of course, after signing day period ending last week. Russell, I know that you love that, don't you?
Well, I'm going to say that way too early poll is way too ridiculous. Clemson should not be number 1. They just didn't play well at all against Alabama in the playoff. And I honestly say that their team's going to be slipping a little bit this coming up season. I mean, they lost at home to Pitt. I forgot who they lost to the previous year. That was at home as well. And they haven't been having that great of a season. Yeah, they're playing in the playoffs, but I just see it slipping down. They don't have Deshaun Watson anymore. I just don't see that. I hate it.
Jeremy?
I hate it because looking at from the past season where Clemson had lost to Alabama, poor play, which had led Alabama to advance to the national championship game. I do not see him as a number 1, but I can see him as anywhere from maybe a ranked number 5 all the way down to number 10.
Now, myself, I'm going to say love it for a couple of reasons. First off, because they're in the ACC and they have to be kind of our representative right now.
Y'all representative.
Right.
Yeah, we're Alabama fan.
As an ACC fan, our representative. Yeah, let me clarify that. The second reason being is that Clemson didn't lose a whole lot of guys to the draft this year. They had a couple juniors that could have gone, decided to stay. They also have the top quarterback in the country, Trevor Lawrence, coming in, who's going to compete with Kelly Bryant for that position. I think I kind of think Kelly Bryant's probably going to lose his job, but as I said, they'll compete for that. Whereas Alabama, I know they retool every year, but you guys lost a ton of players to the NFL, as you do every year.
Every year we lose them, but
we always rebuild.
Talking about quarterbacks losing their job, Jalen Hurts, is he still going to be under center next year?
He might. I mean, one thing I like about Jalen, he's very much of a team player. Mm-hmm. So regardless if he's starting or if he's second string or even fourth string, I think he's still going to be very supportive of his team. And that's one thing they teach very well at Alabama. Nick Saban's very good at coaching them to play as a team, not as an individual. So
sorry, go ahead.
Same way being a fellow Alabama fan. We do lose a lot of guys to the NFL draft every year after we win a national championship or win a bowl game. But we always reshuffle our rosters through the National Signing Day, in which a lot of times we have great success. So now one of the things I can say, agreeing on what Russell was saying with the quarterback with Hurst, same way, he's a veteran in the locker room, well respected, and he will, he will be very supportive of his team.
Yeah, I just Tagovailoa, am I saying his name right? Tua, that came in. We all know he played great in the national championship. Oh, yeah. Of course, got the victory over Georgia. So we'll have to wait and see when they get into spring camp. Isn't that right? Moving on. All these Panther fans out there that hated Mike Shula during this past season is now hooked on with the New York Giants and will be their offensive coordinator for the upcoming season. Love it or hate it?
I hate it because you know what? By me being a fellow Panthers fan, if you look at the statistics of what we had last year, and even when our Super Bowl run in 2015, we ranked number 1 in scoring offense. Now, the past couple of years after that, we ranked number 19. With the New York Giants, you still have Eli Manning under center, and you pretty much have the 3 top receivers in the game with Odell Beckham, Brandon Marshall, Sterling Sharp, and even Evan Ingram at the tight end position. You pretty much don't have a running game going, which I think the New York Giants will address that in free agency or through the draft. And we also know that Shula has a great relationship with Dave Gettleman, who was formerly our GM of the Carolina Panthers, now with the New York Giants. We will see what will happen in the process, how Eli will pan out in that offensive system, because we're looking at Mike Shula, the father of Miami Dolphins great, Don Shula. I think the offense of the New York Giants will open up a little bit, similar to what Carolina did, but we'll see what happens when it comes to OTA's training camp down the road.
And I think that Gettleman being there was one of the big reasons that Shula ended up in New York. Russell, what's your take? Love it or hate it?
I guess I'm going to go hate it on this one here. Panthers had a great run, 2015 it was, and not having a guy like that, like Shula, on the team no more, it's probably going to hurt. So, as a used-to-be Panthers fan, I guess I would hate that.
And, I'll just go with love it just to be different. I myself, am not a big Panthers fan. I do pull for him every once in a while. But like you said, it's how much do you have left in Eli Manning's arm? So now that they've got, hopefully they'll have Beckham back from injury next year. Like you said, they've got the tight end Evan Ingram. Maybe they'll be able to space it out a little bit. So in my opinion right now, Mike Shula may end up being a decent hire for them. Sticking with football, love it or hate it, Johnny Manziel back in the news. Johnny Football said he's going to try to make a comeback this year, starting with spring practice coming up soon. He also came out earlier this week, said that he's been diagnosed as bipolar. So I want to get your guys' opinion on that. Johnny Manziel making a comeback, love it or hate it?
Well, I love it because I love it to a degree because, hey, if you enjoy what you do for the love of the game, then go for it.
Yeah.
But I think the narrative is where it's going to turn a lot of teams away because of your mental diagnosis.
Yeah,
Russell?
I agree with that. I would like to see Manziel have some success again. I would like to see him be able to get himself on the right track again and have success like that. But with the bipolar disorder, it might make coaches think twice about wanting to hire him because that could affect the players that he plays with, and as well as a lot of things, really.
Well, of course, there is medication for that sort of thing, but I'm just going to say love it simply because Johnny Manziel would be good for the NFL as long as he can stay out of trouble.
Yes.
He was obviously very dynamic at Texas A&M, won the Heisman Trophy, and I would like to see him be successful. I really would. As much shenanigans as he has been involved with, he's kind of gotten this bratty, persona about him. But I'd like to see him do well and maybe hook on with a team. Probably not as a starter, but maybe as a backup or maybe even a practice squad guy.
Yes.
But, being Johnny Manziel, wherever he is, he's always in the news. And finally, guys, last on Love It or Hate It, the Eagles finally, I should say the Indianapolis Colts finally have a head coach. As we know now, Josh McDaniels spurned them at the last minute, was supposed to take over the Colts head coaching job, ended up going back to New England. Now the Eagles offensive coordinator, or former offensive coordinator, I should say, Frank Reich, going to be taking over in Indianapolis as the head coach. So Russell, love it or hate it?
I'll say love it. I mean, I think being able to go into a coaching job like that should help out the Colts there a little bit and getting them on track.
Jeremy?
I love it because you're looking at look at the history of the Colts. Look at Peyton Manning, and now you got Andrew Luck in behind center. I think he'll work with some things with Andrew Luck once he's healthy from his shoulder surgery, and then you still got a lot of guys in place with T.Y. Hilton, and also with Frank Gore at the running back position, and you got a good solid offensive line. I think Frank Reich will have some success, and I'm pretty sure he'll bring some guys from the Philadelphia Eagles, players and staff to help him out in that endeavor. So we'll see what happens when the coach starts training and OTAs.
Yeah, and I'm going to say like it, not only for the Colts, but also for the Eagles. And I'll tell you why. First off, for the Colts, Andrew Luck's there. He's an established franchise quarterback.
Yes.
Now, we don't necessarily know if he's fully healthy or not. Again, we'll have to find that out once they start getting into OTAs later on this year. But there is a young defense there. They're going to have 7 draft picks coming up in the draft in April. So there's a foundation there for the Colts. As far as the Eagles, though, I know they're losing their offensive coordinator, but Doug Peterson called a lot of those plays this past season, especially in the Super Bowl, which, of course, we know they won. Also called the throw over to Foles. That was Doug Peterson's call for the touchdown for their quarterback. So I see them not really skipping a beat, whoever they pick up as their offensive coordinator, and especially with former quarterback Doug Peterson being the head coach. But that's it, guys. We finished up this edition of the RO Sports Show. And you guys have a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir, we have.
Always a good time here. We appreciate everyone that's watching on the RO app, the Richmond Observer website, and the Richmond Observer YouTube page, and those listening on The Classic Rock. And we'll be back same time next week, 5:30 on Thursday nights. You've been listening to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics.